Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Just talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man!
All right, episode 11 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Ryan from Denver Print House in Colorado. Let's go!
What's happening?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. What's happening?
Sweet.
So much green behind you.
Oh, I know. It's weird.
What did you come from? Did you used to have blue around you?
Oh, yeah, for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So, like, coming here to Denver Print House, it was an exciting and terrifying change all on its own. All right.
Yep.
Oh, Wayne and Garth, how's it going?
What's up, dude?
Has anyone said anything about the Wayne's World logo?
No.
A couple.
Oh, really?
We had a
Other than
Beavis
us.
and Butthead logo going for a while, but ended up with the Wayne's World.
I saw the cartoon version of you guys. It's amazing.
Yeah, so good. We were just talking about that before we got on here.
Yeah, more of that.
Hey, can you put the mic in the front? It's rubbing on the back of your shirt.
How's that?
That's way better.
Yeah, that's way better.
Way more better?
Way more better.
Way more better.
So what's going on? So I guess why did you end up at Denver?
So when you're, I don't know, management is a really strange thing, especially for screen printing. It's a different beast. It's not like I'm managing, a facility that's making spoons or frisbees. Like there's a certain type of human being that really can deal with screen printers, and it's a transitional thing too, because you always want to step up and you always want to improve, and it's hard to do that stuck in the same shop around the same people, the same ownership. And I come from a background of small shop, bigger, and then I was at Culture Studio for a while.
Oh, really?
And that was the top for me. Like I was so excited to go there and work with Joey. And I learned a lot. I learned most everything I do from what Joey kind of started showing me in the mid 2000 teens, and just like developing personal relationships with the printer is incredibly hard to do. And I noticed that as a printer myself, like I really didn't not necessarily respect my management, but I didn't understand some of the decision making. I couldn't relate to them personally. And so I started to elevate myself into a role of a team leader and a natural leader. I started pulling printers together when we were struggling with jobs. I'd run off the press and hop on their machine, help them out. And management started to see that. And the camaraderie is always good. I'm really into laughing all day, talking shit, playing jokes.
I feel like the talking shit is the driving force most of the time.
It's key. And when you're on press and it's a 12-hour day and it's fucking Saturday and you're tired of what you're doing, and you have a manager kind of breathing down your throat that FedEx will be here in an hour. Like how do you deliver that? Like how do you approach that stress and that strain? I've always done it a little lightheartedly, and I've kind of shifted too from, really being hard and being militant. And I kind of changed over the past 5 years to being really loose, really relaxed, and kind of being a manager that's more relatable with the printers. And I've actually noticed a significant change in production based on that, and the well-being of the staff. They don't want to come to work working for an asshole manager that they don't respect. And so like coming to the game and coming to the staff and, having 20 of these guys not even know who I am, but in the first week, the first month, we're already cracking jokes and diving into a press. And it's easier to do setups. It's easier for me to implement new procedures because there's a connecting piece there. I'm able to relate to them. So it's easier for them to listen to some of the things I'm going to bring in.
Yeah.
I like how you said your management style has changed over the years.
You have to adapt.
Mine definitely has too. Dylan, did yours change since so when I was in my 20s? So yours has gotten worse. You become more of an asshole. You used to be nice guy, and then now you're
Yeah.
an asshole. Okay.
Well, it's gotta be a mix. You know, like
It used to be
there's a time and a place.
fun, Dylan, and now I'm just not so fun.
I don't believe it. It can't be true.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, you gotta create a good environment. You know, like that's what I really like. You know, one of the things I wanted to feature with the Print Legion stuff that I was doing was just showcasing, you know, some of the great cultures from great shops. And, you know, funny to talk about that a little bit. Like, I started that just because I was pissed off. and it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, sitting at home on a Sunday scrolling through Instagram, I'm just fucking tired of looking at Pantone books. I'm tired of seeing white prints. I don't want to see that shit on a shop's Instagram. So I wanted to showcase some of the best prints from some of the best shops and create like a little niche on the Instagram feeds just to kind of scroll through some really good work. And it's great that some amazing shit starts from negative feelings.
Yeah. You need to post on that more.
Yeah, it's, you know, I limited myself to just one day because there's no rules. I was just it was just an idea that I had. Me and Marcotte, which I can't wait to talk shit about him in a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Me and Matt were just going back and forth, and we're just the two of us have been bitching about everything to each other for like a decade.
Yeah.
And it was just one weekend. It was just like, dude, I'm gonna start a fucking Instagram. I'm gonna feature all the cool shit because I'm tired of looking at white. I'm tired of looking at Pantones. You know, like, congratulations, print shop. You're subpar. Like you're almost there.
You bought a Pantone book.
Yeah. Congratulations. Like, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in 1997. Proud of you. So I wanted to showcase, you know, some of that stuff. A lot of the tech prints. You know, it's good to show that stuff. And I know a lot of shops, they don't do those badass art prints. They don't do all the tech stuff every day, all day long. And I totally get that, but you know, no one needs to see that shit.
How did you get started then? Like, tell us about the beginning, how you got into printing, and then like what are the shops that you were at and why did you leave?
Bands. I mean, I started playing music with my buddies in high school in the 90s, and I was launched in a t-shirt world. That was my number one. Like, even when in high school, I was obsessed with how do you put a graphic on something. Like, I got super obsessed with band shirts. I still have, my wife fucking hates it, but I have Tupperware bins and Tupperware bins of every shirt that I've owned just because I have to have it. It's like, it's a part of my history. It's a part of my history. It's what I do for a living. It's something I'm super interested in.
Yeah. I've actually always saved all mine too, because
you never know, man. You never know.
The thing is like, I save them because like, I think about someday when my kids are in high school, they're going to have like this giant thing to go through of like badass old band shirts. You know what I mean? Like, my dad was a metalhead. So it's kind of like, you know how awesome it would have been in high school to like have his old metal shirts.
A fucking Skid Row t-shirt that's been worn once.
Yeah. So like that's,
and you never know, like those shirts, like there's the eBay market for like old vintage shirts, like $300 for, you know, old Ministry shirt that's an original pressing. I have Skinny Puppy shirts that are selling for like $400 that I'm never going to get rid of. But it's just, you know, it's strange to me because I know that fucking shirt costs $2.
Yeah.
Are you from Chicago? You just mentioned Ministry and stuff. Are you from?
Yeah, I actually worked with Ministry and did a short tour with those guys. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, moved to Chicago, worked in shops up there, moved out of the city 5 years ago, just to, you know, you get to a point where you're in your late 30s and you're just kind of stuck in this rut and you don't really know what to change, how to change. And I'm definitely all or nothing. I'm either going deep or I'm not doing anything. So I was like, I'm going to fucking move 2,000 miles away and start a new life somewhere else. Which is good to do. You know, like I got surrounded with, you know, like the band culture is definitely substance fueled. And I caught myself in some, you know, I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but it was some dirty times for sure. And I needed to get that out of my life and be more professional and take my career a little more serious.
I've wondered that. So, I've wondered how, like, do people pick up in this industry anyway? If you're looking for a production manager, like, do I have to look locally in St. Louis? Is that our pool? Like, who am I going to get? Or can I go to Chicago or wherever, LA, and they're going to actually relocate. Is that what you did? Is relocate for a job?
Yeah.
Or did you
Yeah,
go there
absolutely.
first?
No, always relocate. I mean, as far as management, like you want to put the right pillars in place to make sure that your structure is sound, right? And sometimes when you're building a house or whatever, you're ordering wood from across the country. You're getting other pieces to come in to your facility. And I don't think I love when printers travel. Like I had a screen printer move out here from Chicago to work at one of my shops. Like they love the life change. They're making more money out here because Denver's expensive as shit. They're making more money. They're in a better environment than concrete and gunfire. That city can be kind of treacherous when you're walking to work. We dealt with that a lot too. A lot of screen printers were having issues with their personal life, and sometimes you have to make that change. And it's the fucking hardest thing you'll ever do is just to kind of suck it up and go, you know what, I gotta get out of here. Like I gotta go somewhere and make sure myself is good. I gotta try something new.
Yeah. What are some, I guess, some of your favorite production horror stories from some of the shops you've been at?
God, how long is this podcast? As far as staff related or print related?
I don't care, either or. They both sound like they're going to be good stories by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I've had fist fights on the floor. I've had people getting shot. I've had screen printers just
hold on. You said people getting shot with a gun?
I'm not going to get too far into it because it's a personal thing with the press operator. But as a manager, you have to make sure your staff's good during something like that. And my main focus was not to fill his spot and act like nothing happened. You have to address that with the entire crew because some of those guys are really close to each other. They're brothers on that floor. And when something like that does happen, you have to step in as a manager and you have to make sure that they have a solid leader that they can follow. They feel comfortable at work. And when you let hysteria start to kind of take over in a shop, like you have to put that fire out fucking immediately. The longer you let that burn, the worse it's going to get. And so, so with that situation, it was, I grabbed the staff. I let them know immediately what I knew, I only got a phone call from the hospital. I'll let the staff know what was going on. And, we kind of filled the gap as we were, but I'm definitely not going to fill his position. He's okay. He's okay for sure. He's gonna be out for a little bit, but that's part of management. Like you're working not with t-shirt materials anymore. You're not working with the dryer temps. You are, but your main focus is the staff. Your main focus is the person that runs the machine, that runs those garments, and produces goods. And if you don't have a manager that's so in tune with what those human beings are actually feeling and actually doing on the floor, then you got a wild west situation where everyone's going to do what they want to do and not listen to you, show up wherever the fuck they want, put out shitty work. You got to connect with these guys. And I've experienced managers in my past just not giving a shit at all.
Have you found situations where you have a particular employee that's sort of toxic? Let's say they're great, they're a great printer, but they bring with them to work. You just never really know. Some days it's okay, other days it's toxic, and dealt with that situation, and tried to work through that. Have you ever had that?
Absolutely.
I find that's one of my hardest, for me anyway.
Yeah. So, every 6 months you have a new cancer in your shop, and you're supposed to cut cancer out, right? Like you make it a point to try and get rid of that and alleviate that. But what medicine do you use? Are you talking to them and trying to make sure they have the support that they need to change? Are we really diving into what the real problem is? Like some people you think it's an issue with someone on the floor, but usually it's something in their personal life.
Yeah.
Do you have an HR situation where you can reach out to that person and actually talk to them in a closed room environment to where they can at least vent or at least talk about what's going on, and they go back out on the work floor and they feel a little better? Like we all had like guidance counselors and shit in high school. It's the same premise that everyone's dealt with their whole life. They might not have a mom or a dad or a brother or sister to talk to, but make that position available. Make sure that someone is here that can actually at the very least, hear them out and try and work through them. And, obviously if they're being a fucking butthole and they're not going to change, get rid of them.
I think what you said though is really important. That whole thing of being able to vent, and also being able to vent. You said, like some people, whether they have a mother or brother or friend or whatever to vent or not, it's out of their loop. Like that, I think it was important because if they're talking to you, maybe they're not their family. They'll talk about different things, And so I've had a few of those. Like you said, some is just it's hopeless, and you're gonna have to move on. But other times, like
you're like, you're being a fucking butthole. Get out of
here. Yeah. Oh, I've had some pretty amazing firings before.
Yeah.
I always roll into it super. I mean, I'm not the most professional looking dude, but I don't. That's not how I roll. It's not my style.
I was going to ask you that. Like, how do you approach? Like, say you walk in and it's not even your decision. Like, it's upper management or whatever. And they're like, you need to fire this person. How do you do it?
Yeah, that's happened a lot. Start off as professionally as possible. So I always ask for reasonings why, and it's going to affect my crew. It's going to affect what I do. And I need to know the premise. Like, is it a budget issue? Is it a personal issue? Is there, there's a million things going to happen with a termination. When you dive into that room though, it's all psychological. Like it's all really, they're pissed off and afraid all the same. And you're not wanting to do it. Like you're in a weird position where you're just like, man, this is
nobody ever
kind of my job. Yeah, it's like kind of my job. Sorry. But you have to roll into it, being as empathetic as possible. I mean, I've had a termination where I was just like, dude, get the fuck out of my shop. You're done. And I just like literally did the thumbs up, the Chicago fucking get the fuck out. And walked him out the door because he was just starting shit with the other guys on the crew. And I had guys that were working there for like.
Yeah, that's almost upstate style. You just kick him into a van. Is that what you did?
Yeah, black bag, kick him in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with some staff that's been pretty upset. This one dude was almost schizophrenic. He worked with us for maybe a week, and he kept talking. Like every day he showed up, he was a different human being. It was very strange. It was interesting for me because I really like to dive into the psyche of a human being, and I attached myself to him for a week, and I was exhausted. I couldn't connect with the guy. He was a different mood every single day, and I had told him I had to let him go just because of his inconsistency of morale on the shot. Like he was causing a problem.
Yeah.
And then when we all went to lunch, and he put a flash over a pallet and then left.
Oh no!
I mean, baller move. Don't get me wrong. That's some baller shit. But we walked into the shop and a pallet was on fire. We're like, holy shit! Like, where's so and so? And we found out he just walked out. I mean, it's been a wild 20 years in print shops, but it's never boring for sure.
I've heard shops where like people get fired and they like throw spray tack in the dryer.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, that's some pretty gangster shit, but.
It's basically throwing a bomb in the dryer.
Yeah. I mean, you're at that point, you're destroying company property, and it turns into a bigger, different thing. But
I mean, the place could burn down. That's not cool.
Yeah, absolutely. If no one's paying attention, I mean, with that pallet thing, I was just like, we put it out, and I'm just like shaking my head, laughing, like, man, that was a baller move. Like that was, if I was the, I've never gotten fired, but if I were to get fired and I, for whatever reason, had an unstable thought process, like that would be something that's, not going to destroy the shop, but definitely sends a message for sure.
Yeah.
Also, don't ever do that shit. That's dumb. Don't do that.
Let's make sure that's known to not do that.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like is like, overall, I know you have like your own probably set of like, I know not rules, but what you do, but what do you think is like, I guess the perfect shop manager? Like, what are you in charge of and what should be your responsibilities?
As far as day to day.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, number one, always kit pack. Like, make sure that shit is ready for your operators. Like, that's number one. Like, if you're gonna truly manage production, make sure all those pieces are together.
So just getting all your pre-press together?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different sides of it, but I mean, that's when you walk in the door, that's the first thing that I do. I get here an hour and a half early before the entire staff, and I kit pack for four presses. and make sure that all the screens are laid out, all the garments are laid out, all the inks are laid out, and they have design notes and setup notes and everything that they need to get going. And I try as hard as I possibly can. Trust me, it's fucking hard, but I try to train our operators and the staff to be as motivated to kind of like come in and do their own thing and not have to have a manager up their ass all day. I mean, obviously I'm here. I'm always here and I'm always going to help these guys out. I'm going to walk them through everything, but I'm not going to stand there and do it for them.
Right. But you're like a lifeline, like a support network.
Absolutely. Like, hey man, this is not clearing right. It's looking weird. I can't get this to reg. All the problems the press ever is going to have, don't fight with it for too long. Like there's a maybe 15 to 17 minute window before you have to ask me. And then having support from Danny. I mean, Danny Grunninger's been, he's the Michael Jordan of fucking screen printing. I've never seen anything like this fucking dude in my life. That was the second part of trying to come here to Denver Print House. I'm not gonna blow him up too much because I don't want to act like I'm sucking his dick all day. But this dude, I've never seen someone walk by a machine and just be like, that ink's dry. It's not flooded right. He can just hear it. He can just like sense that shit. And his technical ability is just second to none. I've never seen a dude approach all the way from SEP and design to execution on a machine. I've never seen the full package. I've seen teams. I've seen some really good shops pull off some amazing prints and some really good detail stuff. But this guy is like, he's going from design all the way through making sure his EOM's great. Is what screens he's doing it on. He's diving into different LPIs. He's coming out to these machines and he's doing a million different setups to really truly dial stuff in. And it's just, there's a level of respect that I had for him before starting here. And we have this really good, like good cop, bad cop management style where, he's like a general manager and a consultant for Denver Print House. And what he does with technical printing and the knowledge of these machines is just, you can't match it. But there's a second side to that is managing staff. And he got so good with these machines and he's one of the world's best screen printers. But as far as managing and maintaining a crew that lasts for a long time, he couldn't do it just because he was so involved in the print process.
Right.
So we needed support on that end, and that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for years.
So you're the good cop or the bad cop in this? Which one?
It depends on what day it is.
So did you say kit pack? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And so that's your terminology for like that's the job. You've got the shirts, the inks, the squeegees, flub bar screens, the whole thing.
Yeah, bringing it all together, making sure these guys.
Okay, and so when you say you get kit packs for all 4 presses, you said there was 4. Is that for the whole day, or are you just getting like 3 jobs, like for the morning or?
Let's see, the entire day. So our receiving department will pull out, all the jobs that are received in these bins. And then I'm going to make sure that I take the received goods, match them with screens, match them with inks, and I bring them to the press. And I make sure that it's a steady flow all day long. And they, for receiving department with 4 people versus 8 individuals running 4 machines, it's a hard, we have to have a lot of garments for them to kind of
and that's a struggle. I know it is for us anyway, to pull from like,
it's for everyone.
Yeah. If you're feeding 4 presses, you've got to have at least 16 jobs going, because what happens when, for example, something fails on press or whatever, and you've got to pull.
I mean, so you can move jobs around, I love managing and running shops as fluid as possible. I don't like we're rule breakers here. There's no like set way to do it. I want to make sure that we can be fluid and fluctuate and adapt all day long. Because if you're not doing that and you're stuck in this rut and you're like, this is how we do it here, then you're never going to advance. You're never going to progress. And so we've tried different ways to kind of, prep the presses and make sure things are, like I know a lot of shops will, put job numbers on the stacks of shirts and they'll wheel stuff out and there's a person assigned to doing all that. But usually the receiving department doesn't know the run times, because you have to start a job at a certain time based on ship and based on, maybe the client requested a rush after they placed the order and now it's a hot item. No one on the floor knows that, so the production manager, you have to go out there and make sure that all that is orchestrated. And if you're not the one doing that, you better fucking make sure someone knows, make sure one of your press guys, your main go-to, because every shop has a go-to. I think, Andy, you have Kyle, right?
That's right.
Is that your go-to? Is that your go-to?
Yep. Oh, well, he's I guess his role is very similar to yours. He's production manager.
Yeah.
And so I think, and so, but I used to do it too. Here I was the guy that was coordinating it all, and it gets really complicated. And so that's kind of why I was curious. So you get there an hour and a half early, and you've pulled the jobs for all the presses, and then when everyone else gets there, do you have a production meeting and say, okay, well, let's huddle up and here's what we're going to do? Or do they just walk in and then they hit print start? Like, how does that work?
So before the operators get in, I have a production meeting with the head of receiving, the head of shipping, and the designer that's here. We sit down, just the four of us, and we kind of talk about the jobs that are due, what's hot, what's not. Go through our production schedule, and then I don't need to have a giant staff meeting with everyone here. There's a certain level where if you have a smaller company, it's a little easier to kind of talk to 7 people, and you can fire off direction. When you have 20 to 30 people sitting in a big group, half of them are on their phone. No one gives a shit. They're hungover. They're not paying attention to you anyways.
Yeah.
So it's trust me, it's incredibly hard to do that first thing in the morning on a Monday after like Father's Day or something where everyone's hungover. So what's good is that I'll have everything lined out for them. So when they come in, these operators are trained. They have the first job sitting right next to their press with the press setup sheet. They know exactly what to do, what to start with. And then as the day goes on, I'm zigzagging through these machines, making sure, the inks are wet, making sure they're running the right job at the right time, and orchestrating with the receiving department, what jobs are coming out. But I, as a former operator and a current manager, I am not one to let the operator kind of make the decision during the day. He doesn't need that. There's enough stress in trying to run a 15,000 piece job without hiccups.
When you say make the decision, what decision? You mean on what job comes next, or what
jobs to run, where the screens are, making sure they're right. I've been a press operator and I have to run into the art room and send my own stuff before. So
you're dictating your print order. You're saying, so when you give them, let's say you give them 4 screens, you're saying, here, screen run, this goes in head 1. This screen goes in head 5. There's no decision there. You've already decided that.
There's with Danny and I, there's a little bit of decision for sure. Like we actually will call out blocker bases and where whites go, and like if we're doing the black last or the white last, like we'll call out stuff for technical prints. If it's a white, I don't need to be involved on a white flash white. If it's a 2-color spot and it's solid, you should be able to figure it out. I'm not going to dive into that. But when we do these like super high color simulated jobs, all the tech prints, like we're on the press, making sure that's running as smoothly as possible, because that's what we're here for. That's what we do. Right. And I've worked with operators for so long that I know that, half of them don't care about what this HD ink is going to do. I just know it. I just know that these guys aren't going to retain that. Some of them will. Like I got half the staff is just obsessed with print, and it's amazing. It's great. The other half are just there to get a paycheck. And that's like I'm sure you guys have the same crew where there's a couple people that are just, not wanting to do this for the rest of your life. I've seen it in every shop, and you can't really give them the ball to score on the last drive, on the last play. They're not your go-tos, like those guys are going to be like, I'm done for the day. I got to leave in 20 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up, and that goes back to management. I hate to air all this dirty laundry, but those people do exist. They're out there, and it's how do you set them up?
Do you have a way to motivate those kind of people? Because I've had that before.
Absolutely. There's always cash.
He pulls out 100.
This is sitting on the wall. I like to incentivize, the gold star method, make sure that you praise and not attack anyone. Run
us through that.
Is that a Schrute buck, by the way, or is that a real 100?
No, it's actually a fake $100 bill.
Is it really?
Yeah, we taped it to the floor Friday, just because it was hilarious to do the staff. But to light these guys up and get them excited about it. So we'll do we'll do some R&D, and we'll try and show them, like I like taking, people to Walmart and taking staff to like, a high-end retail and showing them the difference between the $7 Walmart shirt and then the $30 perfect fucking Patagonia print. And having those guys light up and be like, man, that's what I do for a living. It's like, man, I make these shirts. And building a sense of pride is one of the hardest things that you can do for someone else. So I have to show that myself, like with my background and the stuff that I've been able to do, I bring that to the table. I show these guys some quick tricks and little things that makes their job easier. And they go, oh man, this is really cool that, when the pallets have too much adhesive on there, I can put a little bit of bar soap and it's totally fine. Like when you're running tank tops, you don't have to retape your pallets. You just put soap on the corners.
I think that's contagious. I think that enthusiasm, like when you go out on the floor and you're all psyched about this or that, everybody sees that. And
we did a couple of color shift prints where we're doing like a blue into purple. And everyone was just like looking at this shirt, looking at the ink, being like, how the fuck can you get ink to like change colors like that? And so we grabbed everyone and kind of was showing the operators, and everyone got, excited that day. And it's just like, and we'll throw in staff shirts. I can't even say how important having staff shirts are. Like everyone wearing that logo, it creates a sense of pride. And some of these operators just kind of, they come in and they work for a shop thinking about the next shop. Like they come in and they're like, I've done it where I was an operator at a smaller shop, just being like, man, I'm working on a Sportsman EX and this is the only press that's here. And I don't see this place getting any bigger. So I'm thinking about something else and I want to grow and I want to be bigger. What if that was already where you're at? Like, what if we could show you that there's room to grow? There's a lot of stuff that you can learn here. And then it starts to develop pride because you're like, man, I'm in one of the best print shops. I'm learning more than I've ever learned in my life. And the management's super cool and he understands what I'm trying to do. And like, it's hard to kind of lay those all out in an SOP. Like you can't really write that part. It's changing every single day with all these guys. And like you were saying earlier, I wanted to talk more about, toxic employees. So what I've noticed too with trying to amplify and get everyone excited about the print and how awesome screen printing is, when you have that one guy that comes in here and he's been a printer for 20 years and he's an older dude and he just comes in and naysays and he says, fuck this shit. Like this emulsion sucks. These squeegees are fucking dog shit. Like, man, why you putting tape on screens? This tape fucking sucks. Like when you get that guy, it's like, man, I do it like this. Like this is how I do it. Like, I don't know what you fucking idiots are doing. That dude just completely killed your culture. He just completely decimated everything that you've been working on.
I've had that exact same thing.
Don't even wait. Just get rid of him. Say, sorry, man, it's not working out.
He's gone now. But like, I had that guy for 7 years. And it was just like every day, everybody was like walking on eggshells because they didn't want to piss him off or whatever. And it's just like,
no, fuck that.
Any new guy, any new guy you had come in was just like, it was just like he had to like inspect every shirt, even though that wasn't his job. Being like, oh, this is out or this is this. And it's like, dude,
I found the best press operators start as a press assistant or something else. You know what I mean? So you put them on press as a press assistant and they stay there for 6 months or whatever and get comfortable around it. I mean, it's an automatic press. It's spinning. It could kill you, And so they get used to pulling squeegees in and out or offloading. And next thing you know, somebody's gone or whatever. And I'm like, hey, can you set this one color up and load some shirts? You know what I mean? And
they're better than your number one, right?
Yeah, that's happened, and
I got the same guy,
and they don't come from, like you said, they're not a know-it-all. They come from. I mean, they started here. They learned screen.
They probably want it. They probably really want to learn, and they want to do it. And they want to get out of the reclaim room. Right.
Yeah, and it's one thing to say, hey, this tape is dog shit. Like, let's. This shop I used to work at, we use this other stuff or whatever, and we should give it a shot. And so I'm always down for that. Like, yeah, bring it in. We'll see it. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's better.
Yeah, try it.
But it's kind of how they present it too.
It's always that way of like, if somebody comes to you with a bitching about something, like if you're going to do that, come to me with a solution too, or an idea.
Hey, that was that number one we talked about out of the three. You listened. You listened to me.
I fucking knew that before. I told you I was going to say that beforehand.
Okay. Sure.
Fuck off, Amy.
Wayne, Garth, calm down.
It's a suck cut.
But
it
yeah,
sucks.
that's
Well, it cuts.
So is there something that you're not awesome at still that you're still trying to like get better at managerial wise?
I cannot not swear. It's the hardest
I was gonna say that
thing. I mean, there's been times where, you know, at ISS and a big group of people and everyone's really professional, really kind. And then it's like my turn to talk in the group and I just fucking it just comes out. But you know, that's part of how I was raised, and that's the blue collar Chicago mill worker. I mean, that's part of how I grew up, and it's how I express myself. So when I'm in meetings, you know, and I'm just like, well, that's gonna fucking bury us. You know, like I wanted to throw that little boop, you know, like add that, because, you know, when someone's like, well, I don't think we should do that job because it's not as cost effective for us to run it like that, and I'll just be like, yeah, fuck that shit, we're not doing it. You know, like, yeah, it's got a little more oomph to it, and I've always liked to speak that way.
I appreciate that.
I could totally, you know, put on the brakes and put the filter on, because I've had to do that, you know, with talking to the entire staff and having company-wide meetings. You know, you definitely have to pro it up a little bit and be a little more professional, because you're speaking to a broader audience, and it's people that you have to work with. You have to have respect you, and you can't address the staff saying, all right, guys, we're gonna fucking get out of here at fucking 2, you know, and go grab yourself a beer and a fucking dog. But we
sometimes
can't
I think
do
you
that.
can. Sometimes.
Yeah, when it's the printers, you totally can. But if it's like, you know, the sales department, or, you know, some of the belt catchers, they're really PC, like really strict and really PC. And I can't manage. So with management, you can't necessarily manage everyone the same. You have to manage each individual the way that they're built. And some people don't respond well to swearing, and some people feel offended, and they just kind of, you know, it's not a way they want to be spoken to, so you can't do it. As I'm sitting there talking to you guys, I don't, you know, really fucking care. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, anything you want to say.
Yeah, I'm in good company, you know.
Are you involved at all with like hiring process?
Yeah, I filter through for the people on the floor. As far as the Castlefell side, which is the company that bought Denver Printhouse, they're like their own entity, and I'm not necessarily involved in that.
Mm-hmm. How do you, like, if you had your say on like hires, like what are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody who's like super green, knows nothing about printing, so you can train them?
It depends on the position, and it also depends on the person. So I have this like 1 day thing where I'll have someone come in and I'll pay them for 1 day.
Yes.
And I want to see them hold a squeegee. I want to see them mix inks. I want to watch the mannerisms of them, because I don't give a fuck what it says on your resume. I truly don't.
That's how we both feel. Yeah.
That's how we do it.
I want to see how you hold a screen, how you put it on that press. If it's an auto, I want to see how familiar you are with that print sequence, and make sure you know where all those shirts are going to be. Because I know a lot of press operators are pallet printing fucking kings. I
think you hit on something really important, and we always have. So there's a test day, and so that's not the same day. So you come in for an interview, the first interview, right? You sit down, talk, chat. We give a tour. I let them do most of the talking, and then if I think that they're going to fit at the end, I say let's set up a test day. And so they come back. And sometimes it could be just a half day, even, because I'll know in 4 hours.
First hour, man.
Yeah, like if you're a total shithead, I'll know pretty quick. And also, it gives you a shot, and you got to set a time. And so if you're saying, hey, let's do this at 8:00 or whatever, I mean, this is their test day. I mean, do they show up on time or early or late, or what happens?
Have you ever sent anyone home early?
Yes.
I have.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah,
not recently. No, it's usually.
This kid told me he was an expert ink mixer, and the first bucket he grabbed, he went in with a spatula and flung it all over the place. Dropped the bucket on the ground, and then went to pick it up, and he scooped it with his hand and put it in the bucket. And I was like, "Hey, sweetheart, check it out. You're done." Like, we're done.
You've never mixed ink before.
Maybe he was just really nervous. Maybe he just got really nervous. He was trying to show you his skills.
Who grabs it with their hand?
He was nervous, dude. No, I think it's really important. So you do this test day, and because before you commit, and I put it to them like this: I say, hey, before you commit to this place and put in your 2 weeks wherever you're at or whatever, and come in here, and before we commit to you, come in and try it out, make sure you like it. And so I put it to them like that, and then
It goes both ways.
Goes both ways. And so you watch them on press if it's a half day or a full day or whatever, and then they leave, and then we gather up the team that he was with or she was with. And then
discuss.
We talk about it, and then we give them on a 1 to 10, and you can't give them a 7.
Yeah.
And so you've got to, because that 7 is like, oh, okay, well maybe that's an average, and they'll make it. So you either are gonna, if it's below a 7, then it's a no.
Is it like Barstool where you have to have a point in there?
Yeah, 7. Okay, 7.1. That
rookie
works.
score.
Yeah, I mean, so with the whole staff talking about it, like I like what you said. That's the first thing I ask the other employees is, what did you think of so and so? Like, how do you think he's going to fit in? She's going to fit in. It's incredibly important when putting together. Like, that's what a lot of managers don't think about, is the team aspect of this.
Right.
Actually, I take that back. Everyone thinks about it and talks about it, but no one fucking does anything.
Or
the
says
team
anything.
The team is number one. And if you're bringing on a new player, you got to make sure the other guys are going to be able to work with those. Say they're bringing in a new skill, or they have a new an experience that no one in the shop has. Like, maybe they're really good with steps, and like, can you bring him in and have them work with the art department? Can you bring him in? He's working great with the other screen printers. Like, being able to be part of a team is definitely number one as far as production crews.
Exactly. We have there's a press right now that's run by 2 press operators, actually, not a press operator, press assistant. They're both have been press operators, and they work together so well, and they kind of know where each other is, almost like if they're playing hockey or something. They just know where that other guy is, or what they're about to do, or what the other guy needs before the other guy even knows it. Yeah, and so I would never, even though they're both operators, I would never split them up. They don't want to be split up. They want to work together all day because they know.
It's like Timon and Pumbaa.
I mean, they're faster because of it. They're happier because of it. And that makes for, like a good work experience and a good day instead of a crummy day, and so.
Well, printing with your buddy is awesome. I love that. It's something that I like to do after hours, like some of the operators. Like, I have a really good friend that I brought in from my previous shop that it's fun just to set up a job and kind of bullshit with, like some people go to the bar and have a beer. Like, we'll run a personal job, and it's just kind of it's or try a new ink out or a new technique, and it's just like that bonding moment is so much better than some other bonding moments, because you can go to the bar and get drunk and then you forget about everything the next day. Like, at least here it's like
yeah,
sometimes you still leave it on press, and you come in the next day, you're like, oh man, yeah, that was pretty sweet.
What do you guys do when you have to, like, I guess you don't have to, but like I do it all the time. Like, I'm the one who's constantly like trying to learn new things and like talking to manufacturers about like inks and this and new processes. Do you guys have like I know some shops will like send their employees somewhere, like say M&R or whatever. You can send employees there and they'll like teach them how to do something. Yeah. Do you guys do that, or Danny does all that?
Yeah. So I was brought in to kind of free him up and get him kind of off this floor as much as possible. This is his baby. Like, he built this shop from the ground up, and mad props and mad respect, but he's on a different path right now. He's starting chasing inks. It's a show he's going to start doing, which is going to document more tech side of screen printing, not necessarily.
Yeah. I've been waiting for that.
I'm not going to give too much away, but it's going to be fucking amazing. Like, it's really cool, because it's everything that, like, I know we've all watched YouTube videos, and it's just like some guy saying that he can print perfect white on a black shirt with one stroke. But he doesn't really dive into where we need him to, and Danny's going to do that. He's going to rip apart those setups and get as detail oriented as humanly possible. And I'm hoping that it's too tech for some people, just because we need that from print tutorials, because you see so much that's like, I'm already doing that, but like, how are you able to make that work? What emulsion are you using? No one talks about that when they're printing. They're just like, oh, this is the best ink ever. What screen mesh? What emulsion? Like, what are some of the other things that you need? Because all those variables come together to make a good print. And that's what he's going to dive into, which is going to be fucking amazing. But he's an R&D guy.
Sounds rad.
Yeah. So did you and Mark out work together in Chicago?
I was at Culture when he was at T&J, and he was always walking around Culture Studio, and we just started talking shit to each other. And it was just a great relationship to start. And, you know, like, since we brought Matt back up,
well, that's why I brought Matt back up, because I wanted you to talk shit about him.
Yeah, so he calls me at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and leaves this like 15 to 20 minute voicemails, like crying on the phone about how he fucking loves DTG, and he's afraid that he's going to lose his job and the screen printers are going to go away. Like, he loves DTG. He actually told me that he wishes that he developed it himself, and he's so obsessed with it that he had to come on a podcast and just completely talk shit about it for some reason.
Yeah. It makes sense.
I should hope a sign. No, I'm just kidding. He never calls me.
I don't even know Matt.
Yeah, I don't even know Matt. No, it's good to have, you know, he's kind of been a go-to when something new comes out, like, you know, presses that are claiming that they're, you know, the best in the industry. We kind of chuckle on some things, and it's good to have that insider guy, because, like, you know, I can't talk to my wife about how, you know, the Cobra is doing the same thing that the Rock Oval did 5 years ago. You know, I can't really, you know, say that to my wife. I can say that to Matt, though, and you guys.
Shots fired over here.
You can say it to Andy because he has one.
Yeah, I know. I know what's going on. I don't want to say anything too much. I'm on a different team now, and I'm loving it, so I'm not gonna.
That's good.
Knock anyone down.
Yeah, we don't really knock anybody. I mean, I'm just more interested in printing in general. As long as people are printing and they're making cool shit, like, that's all I really care about.
Well, the machine is the catalyst, right? Like, the machine is just the centerpiece. It's the printer to the machine to the garment. So, like, the machine is kind of fluid. I just walking into a rock shop, I was a little intimidated because I've never worked on these machines before. Like, if give me a Challenger 3 or a Gauntlet 2, I'm like, okay, that's kind of where I've been for years. But these machines are so insanely user friendly. It's stupid. It is just so easy to use. And I'm not knocking M&R because I love it's just so adjustable. Like, that's the best part about, like, some of those M&R machines. It's like, you can really do some wild stuff. But training new screen printers, when they walk up to, you know, like a Gauntlet 3 interface, they're a little intimidated. You know, they don't really know. You know, from me, where I started with the toggle switch boxes, where I was just like walking up to a press, kicking on all the heads, and then, you know, making sure the flashes were turned on, you know, and now, like, trying to train these guys to, like, program stuff is a little, it was a little intuitive and a little harder to do. And then I come into these machines, the control panels are it's butter. It's so easy to use. It's incredibly, they dumbed it down in a way to where the operator can be a really good printer and not have a ton of experience.
Right. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's super. And the registration is just bonkers good. Like, I have yet to go through a run where we're fighting with registration.
I see arguments on Facebook groups that are like 100 comments long about, you know, Rock this or M&R that or Anatol or MHM.
Everyone's good. Chevy and Ford, you know, Pepsi.
You know, and which is the best to buy. And I think that it all depends. Sometimes it depends on what kind of shop you are, first of all. Like, not going to make a difference if you're printing, you know, white flash white, like you talked about, if you've got a Gauntlet 3 or whatever, you know. And so, but sometimes I think, you know, if you start with something, whatever that press is, then I want to have the same press in the shop. I know, Dylan, you had 2 different manufacturers for a little bit. I want to have the same press across. Yeah. You know, if we're going to go with Rock, I want all Rock. If we're going to go with MH, I want all MHM. You know what I mean? Well, I think that makes
sense. Having continuity in your tech support's always good. You know, like when you have 2 different machines and 2 different manufacturers, and then 2 different problems from 2 different techs now coming in, it's a logistical nightmare. It's expensive as fuck. You know, having a, you know, we have all Rock here. All of our inks are all Zodiac Aquarius, which is Poly 1, Obvient, whatever it's called now.
What does Poly 1 not own?
It's Obvient. Maybe.
Don't they own a shitload of the inks?
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
Rutland, Wilflex, Union Ink, which is I'm a big fan of their Maxo series. And what else?
Are you guys doing a good mix of both, like plastisol and water based there, or are you doing?
No, it's all water based. No plastisol, all water based. Oh, that's not true. We do screen print transfers. There's plastisol for that. That's it though.
Is there a reason for that, or is it just that's what he wanted to do?
We really like the durability. Like the water-based inks have such a good print. Like we were getting some really good detail, and having these inks is just you're not mix and matching with the different color mixing systems. I know with some plastisol stuff, there's a fight over with the Wilflex Rio and the MX stuff, and are you using like the C3 series with like Rutland and all that. Like just having one manufacturer, one ink type in here, it's so much easier to use, train. It's easier for us to kind of manage because inventory is super easy at that point. If we have any kind of difficulty printing a certain thing, we have one person to go to. We can solve that really quick.
Right.
John McGee, big shout out to him. That guy fucking rules. He comes in and he helps us out. And if I'm we tried out a glow in the dark from Aquarius that we got a beta. Like it was just a half pint that didn't exist, and he gave it to us to try out, and it was good, but we had some tweaks that we wanted to make, and it's getting done. And that happened like literally overnight, and I wasn't able to get that with any other manufacturer. Like a lot of those sales rep they'll throw a bunch of hot air at you and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to tweak this for you. We're going to make this better for you." But it's like, you're not going to.
Yeah.
It's really tough for that to happen because when you make an adjustment for one shop, it's going to affect the shop down the street and on the next state. And
you want to talk about burial clothing?
Of course. Why would I not want to talk about that?
I see it on your, I read it right there. Yeah. So tell us about that.
Yeah. Burial clothing was something I started 2012, 2013. I really was into all the art my friends were doing, and I wanted to print them for them. Like it was super simple, just because I was kind of working in a tattoo shop, kind of touring in bands, and I was just like, man, I really want to put so and so's art on a shirt, and just like have a little group, a network of artists, and it turned into something that I wanted to do sometimes. So it's not full time. I definitely don't run that thing full time, but it was just a passion project that I wanted to do with a group of friends, and it grew into something sustainable. It pays for itself. I'm able to sell a bunch of cool shirts online. I try and do at least 2 designs a month with new artists, but the time thing, I set up a shop at my house, and I'm printing most of it at home, and it's cutting into my life a little bit.
So when you get home from printing, you feel like doing some more printing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so I'll take orders from like Monday through Friday. I print on Sunday. My wife ships them on Monday, so I kind of do like a weekly. And what's funny is I just set up and I printed some stuff this morning, and then as I was driving here, I got 2 orders for something I set up this morning.
Is this in your garage, your basement, or where's it at?
I have a shed in the back of my yard that I just kind of I gutted the thing and kind of turned it into like this little makeshift. It's nothing to brag about. It's definitely
it's like your he shed, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's definitely a he shed. But I turned it into I built the exposure unit. I built the washout. I rebuilt the press. It's just something it keeps me sober and it keeps me busy. I definitely like to have. I just ate dinner. I'm gonna go dial in some emulsion exposure times, and it's just something I like to do.
Andy, you should talk about emulsion exposure times. Aren't you fighting with that right now?
I sure am, but I'm getting ready. Hopefully, I might be beta-ing a new unit. We'll see.
Oh,
we'll see.
Okay, all right.
But so I felt my favorite exposure unit of all time was the Newark 3140, and I don't have it anymore, and I miss it. But that's no excuse for not getting my shit together with the exposure unit that we do have. But it's extremely hard. So, but anyway, there's this new, it's been in development for about a year, and it actually was ready already, but then COVID happened. And so I think I'm trying to get it in here so I think we're going to call it the Rebel or something like that. But
and then change it at the last minute.
But no, but really, but seriously, I'm trying to get in here because we've tested all sorts of emulsions, and I have a couple of theories, but we'll see.
What are your problems?
Well, our exposure unit isn't single point light source, and it all starts there, in my opinion, anyway. Sure, you can make thousands of LED lights work. I'm not saying you can't, but you lose. There's certain things that are negative about that, which I'm sure you know. I'm sure Dylan knows. And so it's and we ran 20,000 screens on this light that we have now, but it's always been a struggle, and so I'm ready to, either change emulsion, which we've been looking at for the past 2 weeks, or change my exposure unit, or both, really change it all up. So we'll see where we end up here in the next couple of weeks. We're getting closer. But
are you just say what you're getting in?
I don't know what it's called. Like, there's really no name, but it's kind of like.
Is it single point or is it LEDs again?
It's LED single point. So yeah. We'll see.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it, and I don't know I don't know how that's going to play out, but I'll know next week. But production manager, though, is, I think, one of the hardest roles in the shop. I mean, everybody's day here is a challenge, and some days are less challenging than others, of course.
All right.
But production manager, it seems like it's always a challenge. And
you're literally hired to solve all the problems and put out the fires.
Exactly.
And if you can't be strong enough mentally to do that, then just go back to printing.
Yeah. And then some, because actually you're doing all those things and also sometimes printing, also, Kyle, our production manager, it might be different than what you do there. So yeah, his role is
I don't try and tape screens faster than any human on the planet.
Yeah. Well, we've had lots of people try and beat that record, but it's pretty tough. We've had people beat it, but it doesn't look like it's a quality.
What's his time?
Well, when I the old time was 16 seconds, and that's for a really solid tape job. But
all 4 sides?
Yeah, we do all 4. But he goes, I don't think he could do 3. I think he would just try to not do 3, but just it would happen. He would do 4. He's already done it so many times. But he also, so he coats screens, he runs the image, he exposes screens, he wrenches screens, he tapes screens, and he pulls a lineup. And so it's a tough role.
Do you have someone for pre-press? Like, do you have someone to do that, or is that just, does he do it all?
No, that he does it all. But our screen room's automated to help to make that job easier. But he does it all, and we've had people. I have people messaging me and then say, "Hey, where do I get a Kyle?" It's because your role, what you do is you have to have a sense of urgency. You have to keep it all together in your head. You have to not freak out with all of that.
Yeah.
And
that's number one, man.
You have to be calm in battle, right? Not just lose it. You have to be a liaison with the design room, because you got to go in there and say, "Hey," you can't go in there and say, "Hey, this didn't fucking work. Do it right." You got to go in there and say, "Hey, you know how you did this? Well, it didn't work." And so
Ryan does it for the punch, though. Ryan goes in and goes, "You didn't fucking do that right."
Yeah. All right.
Well, some people you can do that, but
well, it's just like, all right, you little turd. Listen here. You don't choke a white when there's a highlight white. Motherfucker, stop doing that shit.
Yeah, that works with some, right? And after you've said it maybe 3 times and you finally do say it like that, maybe they hear it. But sometimes you got to do it with a little sugar. You got to do a little bit of sugar.
Yeah.
But,
little.
and so it's a really tough job. And so lots of respect to that role, because it's a
for sure.
it's a tough, challenging day, but it's really rewarding. And I don't know, at the
Well,
end of it all, it's awesome.
When you walk out and your entire production floor is working seamlessly, and there's no hiccups. Like there's days, like I always talk about this with other production managers. The days and the jobs that no one talks about are the fucking best, because it worked. The process from the beginning to end, it came in here, it ran, it got spit out. No one even noticed it. That's the shit. Like those are the jobs that.
So it's exactly what happens here. And I'll walk out of here. I'm like, man, we fucking rule. Like, we're badasses. And then literally the next day, I'm like, we don't know what we're doing.
The simplest fucking job, like the simplest setup. You're like,
kicks your ass.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. And that's the exciting part of it. Is like every day I walk in and work, like I jokingly say, what the fuck's going to happen today? I think everyone says that as a production manager, but when you come in, you're just like, you just kind of mentally prep. I meditate in the morning and just kind of make sure that, I'm aware of my surroundings and what's happening and what my role is here. And I say hi to everyone when they come in and say good morning. And I just kind of, I used to use like team building exercises in the morning. I used to play catch with everyone with like a ball. And I can judge to see their reactive. No, seriously, listen.
Super dad mode when he gets there.
Check this out. So you could judge their reaction time and their physical ability first thing in the morning, and you could already tell that they're not going to hit 3,800 impressions today, just because they're barely able to catch a ball and throw it back and forth. And so I used to kind of use that to kind of wake everyone up and get everyone's coordination kind of down. Sometimes we would go outside and actually like play a game and get the blood flowing. And I've always noticed that those were the best days. And those are the days that, people are listening to music and cracking jokes and fucking wrapping their tape around each other's head. And nothing was misprinted. Like nothing happened. And the days where I come in like a fucking general and I throw everything at the presses and say, we got to go 1,000 miles an hour, everything gets fucked up. So I completely shift my management style to a little more lax and a little more loose. And I've noticed good results. Like don't be like too nonchalant where you're just like, oh, they're fine, and you walk away. Because as soon as you walk away, something's going to get fucked up.
So two things. Did you get that playing catch thing from dodgeball? And then use a wrench maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
And then
that's good. That's good.
And then the second thing is,
what is it? If you can't catch a wrench, you can't catch a ball or whatever.
Yeah. If you can't catch a ball, you can't print a shirt.
Yeah,
that's right. That's the new motto. But and the second question is about the meditation thing. You said you do that every day, every morning. And do you do that in your car, in the parking lot, or at home, or when you get there? Where do you do that at?
In my office. I jokingly say in the bathroom. It's something that, I've been going to therapy to kind of, really dive into being mindful. And actually, as a manager, since I'm empathetic and my role is to make sure that every human being that works here is comfortable and is good and I can talk to them, I have to clean my slate, and I have to make sure that I can't keep having all that dumped into me, because it's going to affect my personal life. So like when someone's arguing with each other on the floor or someone messes up and like it's tense and it's a fire that I have to put out, and I come out there and I start talking to everyone, I smooth everything out. Like all that negative energy is now in me. Like how do I get that out? Because I can't just go and yell at the owner and bitch about what's going on. I don't want to tell him any of that shit. So like I have to just kind of cleanse my palate, cleanse my system, get all that out of my brain.
Yeah, it's you mentioned that arguing on the floor. I remember one time I had these two guys.
What happens?
And they were running a press together, and I don't know, it'd been like 2 weeks in a row. They kept like serious arguing, and then finally,
fuck you.
Yeah, like serious, like blowing up out on the floor. And so I had warned them a couple times.
Did you separate them?
No, they had to work together at that point in our situation. I couldn't. And then finally, the last time it happened, I heard it happening. And I went back there and I said, all right, both clock out and then go outside and don't come back until you're done, until you can
Yeah.
work together. And so
Work
I already
your shit
tried
out,
other
man.
things. And I'm like, well, look, I'm done trying.
You gotta go
Don't come
street.
back.
Sometimes you gotta go street.
That's right. So I go, get out of here and come back when you're ready. And so I saw him. I looked out there a couple times. I saw him sitting on the sidewalk smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, let them figure it out.
And then they came in, and
no, that's where you do the Batman fucking thing where you snap the broom in half and you throw the sticks down and say that there's only room for one of you.
Well, I mean, it's at some point you really do. Like, if you can't work together, then somebody's got to go, I suppose. But I wanted them both here, and they came back in, and they said, we're ready to go, and we all hugged. I made them all give everybody a hug, like, we're going to do this.
It's good.
And then
That's not a bad thing.
Just print some shirts. And so I don't know if somehow that worked, to know that, hey, if I can't. I guess they looked at it like, if I can't get along with this guy, I can't fucking work here. And that's an issue, And so I got to solve this problem. I can't, otherwise I'm
have either one of you guys ever told your staff that it's just t-shirts?
We just said that.
I tell that to myself a lot.
We're not operating on hearts. We're not brain surgeons. No one's going to fucking die if you mess up 72 shirts. They're just fucking t-shirts.
Yeah.
When you dumb this down and you bring this down, I mean, it's a fucking $1 billion industry. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's great. I love being a part of it, but we're not firemen, like we're not.
And it's not necessary either. Like, you don't have to have fucking screen printed t-shirts.
Yes, you do. Hold on a second.
We all are in the loop here. We know.
Yeah, it's crucial. We need to have it. It's an outlet for me, and I need to have it.
Right.
But I try and make sure that, like, when someone messes up and has misprints, like, I always walk next to them. I'm like, hey man, you're gonna do this again. And they're like, what? Like, you're gonna print that pallet again. I don't know when it's gonna happen. And they I changed their mindset to where if they mess up an order, it's fucking bad. It's not a good thing to mess up an order, but it's not something that's going to be detrimental to their success. And I want to make sure that they don't see that as, I'm never going to get better, or I'm an idiot, or I can't believe I failed this company and I'm sorry. Yeah. And I want to make sure that you loosen it up a little bit and they improve better. They always do. If you don't hammer down on them, keep pushing them down and be negative, they can actually get better.
100%.
And if you don't see progress, you got to let them know, or you got to spend more time with them.
I struggle with that too, where I have employees where, like, I'm the casual one. Like, I'm the owner and I'm the go lucky guy around the shop or whatever. Well, there'll be a printer on press and he'll do a job and he's like getting pissed off about it or something. Not like registration or anything, just like, oh, you have to change an ink color out, or you have to fix something, or they're pissed about like just something that has to happen with the job. And I'm like, dude, I'm not breathing down your neck right now. Like, I'm not yelling at you. Like, fucking calm down.
Take about 25% off. Take 25% off. Bring that shit down.
Like, it's okay. Like, if this takes you an extra like half hour to do, like, fuck it, fine. Let's just do it right. Like, you're getting so worked up for no reason. It's like, just chill the fuck out.
Yeah. The last
thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you guys run your shops based on speed or based on overall quality of product?
No, there's no
quality
quotas.
Product.
No quotas here.
Yeah, I love that, because it's ditch the X amount of impressions a day. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
How many great orders did you ship out on time? You're like, work on your misprints.
That's what I try to hammer home with my guys. It's like, just slow down. Like, they're in such a rush to get like the whole schedule done. And it's like, dude, just slow the fuck down. And like, let's make sure that every job goes out.
Yeah, you make so many more mistakes trying to just fucking blaze through it. If you just stop and like, I love when my operators they're sitting there holding a work order and they're looking at a garment and they're literally looking through the entire thing and they're analyzing what they have to do. Take that time. Like, if I see you doing that, that means that's I don't have to be as involved, because you're taking it upon yourself to know exactly what you're doing. Take that time to figure that out. Yeah. And then I've noticed that these guys, I don't want to say that you can always leave them alone, because there's certain operators and certain people that they don't give a shit what's going down the dryer. And you have to be present, and you have to make sure you're watching everyone's work as a manager. You have to make sure you're zigzagging around these presses all day. But you have to empower your operators, and you have to give them room to fucking improve. If they don't feel like they're going to improve, they're not going to give a shit. They're not going to.
If you said you were zigzagging through presses, are you wearing Heelys?
there's a scooter. There's a scooter that we zip around the machines with.
You got one of
Are
those
your-
what are they, segways.
Yeah.
Are your quality control who's catching the shirts? Do they call out? So you said there's some printers that don't care what's going down the dryer or going down the belt. Are there people at the other end of the dryer that call them out over that? And say,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
just
What
curious.
happens is they'll catch something. They'll say something to the operator. Sometimes the operator goes, "Fuck you, it's fine," which I'm sure happens all the time.
Yep.
I've done it before in my life where I'm just like, they'll love it, and I'll just keep going. And if that doesn't change anything, they'll come get me, and I'll step in and be like, "All right, dude," like I'll literally stop the press for them and point something out and be like, "You can't continue unless we fix this. Your red's out of red, or like there's a pinhole, something." Like I'll actually physically get involved and stop the machine and fix it. And then I'll let them finish the run. And then during the teardown, I'll actually pull them aside and we'll discuss, what happened. Don't ever do that in the moment. When you're in the middle of a job, the worst thing you can do is change that operator's point of view, because that can change the outcome of that job.
In front of people too.
Yeah. So grab them aside, pull them aside, do a one-on-one, always one-on-one. Like if you're talking about someone's mistakes or someone's issues, don't do that with other people involved, because then they'll either close up, get offended, be embarrassed, or legitimately just get pissed off. And then you're kind of stuck with a bigger problem then.
So if you're saying they're on press, say one of the colors is out of registration, and
help them out, get through it.
Right, but I'm saying the person at the end of the dryer tells you, and then you walk up to the press. What do? You tell the guy like, "Hey, stop, let's fix this," or do you
call a timeout? You just call a timeout and say,
"Stop the machine." I always make sure that they know what the issue is. So you don't just go in there and fix it and then walk away. Make sure your operators know what happened so they know what to look for. If a screen's shifting out, or if you're having some weird lift, if some color's coming off wet on wet, and you're seeing a little, the center part's looking kind of nasty, let's show them how to adjust that instead of me just coming and fix it for them and then they just keep running. Like I want to make sure that they learn. That's how you become a really good printer, is to fight through all those fucking mistakes. And if you know how to fix those mistakes, you become really good. And it's never about a mistake happened, you're a bad printer. Good printers know how to fix all the mistakes. Everyone's going to mess up, man. All three of us are going to fuck up again. It's how we solve that. It's how we get through that. That's what's key.
Yeah, the worst thing a production manager or me, if finally somebody comes and gets me, the worst thing to do is, if you're trying to put out a fire, is to add fuel to it. You don't want to go in there and say, what the fuck, what you're doing wrong or whatever. The best thing to do is to go in and offer support, like, hey, what is going on, and let's figure it out. It's one of these 3 things, 4 things, whatever it is, and let's make this print look better. And I think if
I have this in my office. It says, "Don't be a dickhead."
Is that to you or to everybody?
Everybody that's on this fucking planet. Don't be a dickhead. Just roll into work, live your life, knowing that other people are going through some crazy shit too. And suck it up and don't be a dick all day long, and you're good.
Yeah.
We're on the same team. We all want the shirts to look good when the customer picks them up, or we ship them out.
Everyone instinctively wants to do a good job. Always. Yeah. Everybody on the planet wants to do good. If you're being a dickhead and you're being a dickhead to a dickhead, nothing good's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like something I struggle with.
That's technical talk right there too.
Yeah. Super technical. Yeah. I'm just trying to keep I have kind of like a smaller crew, but and we're all on the same page. We all have a great culture. We're trying to just do.
And culture builds itself.
Stuff. Yeah.
You shouldn't invest too much time talking about it. Culture is not talk. Culture is just what's in the air.
Exactly.
That's the thing. What the shop is.
Me and Andy talked about that before, and it's just kind of this is just who we are. I don't come into this of let's create a company culture. It's no, this is just, we're all on the same fucking page. We're all just into the same shit.
What are a couple things that we can do that'll have an effect later on the culture?
Right.
Painting the floors, stupid little things like building pride. Having someone walk into a super clean shop. We take a lot of pride in making sure that thing is spotless always, because when these guys walk into work again, their press is sparkling. It's perfectly cleaned and maintained. And these guys have a lot of sense of pride in their machines. And
are they taking care of the press? Are they doing the maintenance?
We all do. We all split duties when we're doing maintenance. We definitely make time for it too. You have to.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of shops run balls to the wall and they'll do like a maintenance crew on a Saturday or something and pay a couple of guys overtime. Make room for it. If you're scheduling jobs, there is always room to schedule maintenance. It's fucking super important. You have to take care of your tools. And a lot of shops don't.
We have it on every Thursday. It's just kind of like
yeah. I mean, with me getting in early, a couple other guys get in early, and we do just some maintenance during the day. Like I just did the compressor Friday, and then make sure that all the presses were done. I mean, what's great about these machines, like the little icon will show up saying they need maintenance on them.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is like the perfect time for the Inksoft sponsored random question. So Ryan, in the event of a zombie apocalypse, what is your weapon of choice? And where do you go to survive? I almost fucked it up. So weapon of choice, and where do you go to survive?
Some of me wants to be a zombie, so that's going to be a weird thing to answer. I don't know. Like, can you think as a zombie? Are you conscious? Because you're dead, technically.
Yeah.
The undead.
You're undead.
Weapon of choice.
No, you're not a zombie. You're Ryan. You're working it. You're in Denver, and it hits. And so, yeah, what weapon do you choose?
I'm going to use one of those ergonomical squeegees that you can pull.
The badass manual squeegee.
Yeah, I'll put a blade in that and just slice people's throats off.
Okay.
You just love printing so much that you want to use it as a weapon to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Well, and also I'm
going to finally find a good use for that fucking thing. Burn. I wanted to have you guys discuss, like, what do you guys want Shirt Show to turn into?
Dylan?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Let's turn this a little bit. I have a couple questions for you guys.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that just doing these in general is just, for me, like the selfish part of just like, I just want to constantly be in the industry and learn shit. Like
this is the convention talks that we're not able to have right now.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's what gets my rocks off. You know what I mean? It's just like growing things for myself and like learning new things, like talking to you. Like I wouldn't have known, like if I just was like, I own a screen printing shop and I print, sports team shit all day and I don't look on the internet, I don't learn, I don't do this. Like, I feel like you just get left in the dust. Like you just don't learn
behind.
Right. And it's like, this is my outlet to like bullshit with Andy, but also like talk to people like you, where we can just like fuck around and talk how it really is and not like sugar-coated,
Why do people call you soft handy?
I think that was Marcotte, and it was because, what were we talking about? We were saying
I like soft handy way more than soft hand Andy.
Soft handy, man. I'm a production manager. I have time for that shit. Soft handy.
Why did we say that? I can't remember anymore. Something about.
He told me to bring it up.
But for me, I've been doing the Shirt Show for years. I just haven't called it the Shirt Show and haven't hit record because I've called and I've been on the phone with printers on weekends for years, or at night after work, or even here while I'm at the shop. And same goes for Dylan, or messaging or texting. I mean, it's every day, And so,
well, we got to a point where we were just calling each other like therapy. Where we were being like, "Hey, tell me about your day."
He would call me at 2 a.m. and cry for 15 minutes about
how
DTG.
much I love digital.
About DTG actually, which is coincidence with
you guys we could call Matt. We could all group call Marcotte and just start talking about DTG.
But really,
he cries. He's got a hilarious cry.
But really, I've been kind of doing this, and so where it goes, I don't know. I don't care so much either. I hope that we get to continue to do it and have these conversations.
It's a great platform.
So I hope that we get to do it still one a week. And
I think like the other part of it is that like there are definitely people who would like to listen to this. Like we get people all the time that message us and they're like, "Hey, like I was thinking the same thing that you guys talked about. It's nice to hear that there's shops that actually have the same problems." And then they actually like act on it.
I can't wait for someone to comment. I can't believe that guy's a fucking director of plant production.
Such an asshole.
If
such an asshole.
If ShireCon goes bankrupt, or if Shirt Show goes bankrupt or whatever, I will still, maybe Dylan will hire me and I can go be production manager up there or something, or and I will still have phone conversations and call people, or
I just
Zoom.
like shooting the shit. I think it's my favorite part of the industry is talking to other printers and just fucking learning shit all day long. It's my favorite.
Question 2. What is your favorite shirt?
Like brand and style?
Do you have a favorite shirt of yours that you like? A band shirt from the past, a joke shirt?
Oh, geez. I used to be that kid in high school that wore my dad's like Big Johnson, or like just shirts that are super inappropriate for school.
Hell yeah.
That was those were my favorite as a kid. And that's why, like, this is off topic, but that's why like Heavy Metal, the old animated movie, is my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. That's why I have like a whole sleeve of that. Awesome. Is because when I was a kid, it was super inappropriate for me to be watching that movie. And it just stuck with me forever. That's why it's like my favorite thing. So those shirts, in my opinion, are my favorite shirts, even though it's super awesome. Not PC right now. But I just
PC,
love it.
Dude.
Yes.
Fuck PC.
Those are my favorite.
My favorite shirt is in one of those Tupperware bins that you just talked about in my basement right now. And it's a Nine Inch Nails shirt. And I had gone on like tour, not with them, but you got, oh yeah, that's badass. Yeah. So I went and followed them, kind of like you would follow the Dead. And I went to a bunch of shows one year. And then I was in I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they had this outdoor summer fest, and he was they were
Billy
there
Walker. It's Algonquin for the Promised Land.
Is that what it is?
I had to tie it in the Wayne's World thing.
And then and so we were we went back to the hotel, and then we woke up the next morning and we were leaving, and all of a sudden there's this dude walking his dog down the sidewalk, and I'm wearing the shirt from the night before, and there's a dude walking his dog down the sidewalk, and it was Trent Reznor, and I was like, oh
shit.
I went over and I said, hey, and he wasn't happy to see me. But he was cool, and we took a picture with him. He didn't say a word, and then I let him alone.
He didn't know you took the picture.
But I have that shirt still, and that's my favorite shirt.
There's, when I was touring, and when you're never supposed to meet your idols, like you're never supposed to meet those guys. You always have to put into your brain that they're probably tired or hungry. They're going through some like they're just a human being too. So like there was I'm not going to name names, but there was someone I met, and he just like I did that sigh, and I was like, yeah, I'm good, and I turned around and walked away. Like there's a certain times that you just kind of like Trent was probably like, man, I gotta walk this fucking dog right now.
Yeah,
I gotta see this random ass guy coming across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, that's a badass story. That's awesome.
I like how it ended.
Yep. Any more questions?
You got any more for us?
Yeah.
I like when we get asked questions. This is kind of nice.
Yeah. How's the COVID thing impacting you guys directly?
The only thing that's affecting my shop. Yeah, the only thing that's affecting my shop, because we're pretty busy right now, is just ordering shit. Like ordering.
Yeah, we migrated to masks. We started doing a ton of like sublimated masks. Kasparian started making their own masks, so like that, it's definitely kept this business alive.
Yeah.
What
was Denver Print House's focus before? Like, what was you guys doing contract or just direct to customer?
Full package and contract. I mean, we luckily have Kasparian. It's a shirt manufacturer. It's fucking amazing. Like the whole idea from turning plastic bottles into some of the best feeling t-shirts. Not that this is a sales pitch or anything, but they recycle bottles and turn them into some awesome recycled poly garments that you would never even know that felt that way. Like they feel like a really good soft cotton. They print amazing. We lucked out as a print house to have that as the company as our owner, They developed their own masks. They were selling them to clients. We're offering, packaged shirt, packaged mask deals, and it completely kept us alive and it opened the game for us.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's not something that's going to happen in every other shop. It's unique to, not every shop is owned by a shirt manufacturer. So
Right.
it's a little unique to us, but it's kept us busy and it's kept us alive. And the ownership of this place and the support with me and Danny and the sales crew, like balls to the wall. We kicked it into overdrive. It was seamless for me going from, the last shop that I was at in Boulder to here. It was literally over the weekend. And it was like, I'm back into managing a shop full time.
That's awesome. Did he reach out to you or did you reach out to them?
We've been talking for a while. It was one of those things where I was at a one auto shop and it was just wasn't progressing. There wasn't any throughput. Nothing was changing. It was like 4 years of me struggling to burst that shop into a bigger platform. And, I was just hitting a wall. And I was the only one in the company that ever experienced anything bigger. So I was trying to come in and bring that, that knowledge and that
Right.
streamlined production to a company that really didn't want to grow. And so it just made sense. After reaching out to Danny and coming here and talking to the guys, once, it was just like, all right, you're in.
Right. This is where I want to be.
Yeah, because I was so my management tilted. Like I was so focused on the staff. I'm so focused on the person. And, Danny's so obsessive about the print. And so like, I was exactly what was lacking. Not that it was lacking, but I was exactly what would, I would elevate Danny to a position and I would elevate the staff to a position and they would have to worry about the floor less because I got the floor, I got the staff. I'm taking on more than what the guy before me did, so it was a no brainer for me to come in.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I love working with the dude. Like he's making me a better printer.
Yeah.
Like just being around that guy is just fucking insane.
We'll have to talk to Danny sometime.
Yeah, get him on here because he's oh god, you could dive as deep as you could possibly. You could dive so deep your air tank's gonna go out. the guy's crazy.
Yeah.
For us, for COVID, I think we're going to change our name to Mask Kong. I think that's,
there we go.
I think that's where we're going to be from now on. You can't even get shirts anyway, right? These days.
Dude, it's so hard.
So I think
Such
I think
Well, you're mixing and matching. Do you guys have to mix and match?
Yeah.
Well, we're just going to like every distributor on earth. Basically.
Hey guys, sorry, your 2XLs are going to be a little darker because they're a completely different brand. My
exactly.
bad.
No, for real.
Like, sorry.
That's the only thing we can do. Like we have so many customers that are placing an order like normal, and then I go to order, say it's a Bella small through extra large, they have, but 2X, 3X, 4X, they don't. And then there's like 10 brands that are like that shirt that you go to first, and they're all out too. And then it's like, all right, well, your 3X is going to be a Gildan 2000. Your 4X is going to be a Bayside. It's just like, I'm so sick of doing that every single day.
Ink manufacturers too. Like we switched over to Aquarius April, maybe before April. And one of the Poly One's plant closed, and it was just like, we were full, we were ready, and we were going to use strictly this ink, and we were doing way too much, and they can supply because they were closed down. No one's ordering this stuff. We wanted barrels of it because we're running full force, and it's like they just couldn't keep up with our demand. Like that supply was just cut off because half the plant was,
I think it's their North Carolina was shut down. Same goes here. We couldn't get Street Fighter for a while, and we had to switch whites recently, but we got a little bit. It's kind of trickling in.
Yeah, we're good now, but it was like that. The whole month of May and June, like that, those 2 months can fucking go back to hell. For all I'm concerned, that was terrible for me because everyone's like, "Where the fucking inks?" I'm like, "No one has it, man. I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah,
it was a disaster, but we got smoothed out now. We have barrels, and we're completely full.
That's awesome. Do you have any? Well, I know you do. You should tell people to follow the Print Legion on Instagram.
Yeah, go to Instagram at the Print Legion. Now, if you want to see some of the best prints in the industry,
post on there more, please.
Yeah, we're getting there. It's something I got to get. I'll give you guys access. You guys can just post stuff. We'll have a bigger Legion.
Yeah, the Legion of Doom.
If you're down, that's kind of where it started. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the Print Legion on Instagram, at Ryan Kasparian on anything. You can follow some of my. I've been designing band art since the 90s. You guys can see some of the stuff on there, and then Burial Clothing. If you go to burialcloth.com, that's where the store's at.
Do you have specific podcasts or Instagram accounts that you use a lot for inspiration that you can share?
I love the Bill Burr podcast. Bill Burr's Monday Morning podcast kind of cracks me up. I'm a big Bill Burr fan. He said,
dude, I fucking love Bill Burr. He's my favorite.
The way he speaks is it's what's inside of me.
Yeah.
I want to say cunt a whole bunch, but he's just like the way he emphasizes things is just fucking perfect.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people from like that Boston area, and he's just like, he brings this like childhood touring.
Yeah.
Because I used to tour out east a whole bunch, and I just like remember talking to those kids outside of the venue.
Do you watch F is for Family on Netflix?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's like my family. Yeah.
I just started watching that Who Is America, the Sacha Baron Cohen. Borat.
Yeah.
Who is America? It's on Showtime.
Oh, I don't have Showtime.
Is that new?
It's fucking genius. No, it was like 2018, 2019.
Is it him doing the same thing basically?
Oh, it's fucking genius. It is the funniest thing. And he'll interview like Bernie Sanders and Dick Cheney, and he'll do it in like these crazy costumes and just fucking rip them apart. And it's the most amazing thing that I've ever seen, and no one knows about it. It's called Who Is America. It's Who Is America. It's fucking hilarious. So imagine Borat interviewing like Republican nominees.
But do they know that it's him, or do they think it's the other guy?
I don't think so.
It has to be some kind of it's probably diluted. Like his approach is probably like a fake company trying to interview underneath the fake premise.
Right.
And he's probably delivering in the moment, and they don't know that it's really, Sacha Baron Cohen. It's like they don't notice that it's Borat because he's got a bunch of makeup on.
Right.
I think it's just like his Ali G character where he is like a rapper and he interviews people and they don't know that he's not really a rapper.
Yeah, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
My wife and I are just watching it just in tears, laughing so hard.
What's it on, HBO or Netflix? What's it on?
It's on Showtime, so you can get it on Hulu.
Sorry, I missed that part.
He said it like 4 times.
I'm getting paid to plug it, so I'll say it again.
Well,
but yeah.
Again, thanks, dude, for real. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been good. I want to start diving in. I wanted to do this with the Print Legion and start interviewing more people. But I'm not necessarily the most camera friendly guy.
We aren't either.
Yeah, it's something else. It's like the last thing I think about. But I really appreciate you guys doing this and setting up this platform. I think it's gonna be great.
Thanks, dude. For real.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Remember, don't be a fucking dickhead.
Yeah, don't be a fucking dickhead. That's gonna be the title of the show. We're not even gonna put your name on it. We're just gonna say shirt show episode, whatever. Don't be a dickhead.
And buy some Burial Clothing shit.
Yeah, do that. See you, man.